We're going to go over how to modify existing system families in Revit. So in this video I'll just be showing you how we can change the layers in a wall system, a ceiling, a floor system, or a roof system. System families consist of, if we go into walls for instance, these are all system families that have been, or the generic one is let's say is this the system family that we'd have to keep out of all of them. We could delete all these wall systems except for one, and that one wall system is like the generic wall system that I could then make any other wall system that I wanted to from it. So similar to having a layer 0 in AutoCAD, we have to have a representation of a system file in here already for us to be able to work with it. Doors are not system files, those are families. But if we go under floors, those are system files. If we go into ceilings, those are system files. If we go into roof, those are system files. Okay, so that's what a system file is. It can't be loaded like we can a component from another location. We can copy and paste it from another floor or include it in a template, and that's how we would create those. So let's start with the walls. Given the wall system files that we have several categories of walls. We've got exterior walls, foundation walls, generic, and interior curtain walls, and then stacked walls. What I'm going to be doing is showing you how to create a unique wall system based on the layers that we want to see in that wall, and it's going to be based on it's going to be based on this wall system. This is the one that we did in class. And so what I want to do is create a wall that has these unique layers in them. When you define a wall system, there are 5 different categories of layers. You have finishes, substrate, structural, membrane, and insulation or vapor barrier. So each one of these layers falls under one of those categories. So this gypsum wallboard on the inside of the wall would be considered finish 2. The siding on the outside of the wall would be called finished 1. And that's for the hierarchy of wrapping the layers together when they meet at the corners. This sheathing would be a substrate layer, and it would be substrate 1, I believe, 1 or 2. And then we would have to decide whether or not we wanted to include this entire 2x6 plus rigid insulation plus 2x4 system as part of our structure, or if we want just the 2x6 as our structure, and then this becomes a second substrate layer and then a third substrate layer with the correct numbers associated with it. So this is what we want our wall system to look like when we cut it in section. We actually want to see these hatch patterns in our wall section. This insulation stuff we're going to be able to add as detail lines, but I want my rigid insulation to automatically come in with this hatch pattern. I want my gypsum wallboard to automatically come in with this hatch pattern, and I want to see if I can get my siding, sheathing rather, to come in with this hatch pattern. So let's take a look at how a wall system is set up. So let's take our existing wall that we have here, and we've got exterior wood shingle and wood stud, and we'll hit edit type. When you first hit edit type, we get the information about the type parameters for that particular wall system. And if I want to see a little bit more, I can hit the preview button and see what does a wall look like in plan or in elevation. There are layers there. So we have our gypsum wallboard, 2x6, sheathing, and siding. So it's very similar to what we're trying to create, but I want to create another couple, 3 layers in the wall section to make it look like my double wall system. That looks like that. So in order to go any further and make those changes, I need to create a new wall type. So I'm going to take the one that I have because this is pretty close to what I want. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to rename this exterior still. This should be exterior double wall. We'll keep that wood shingle on 2x6 and 2x4. Okay, just to show that we're using a double wall system that's 2x6 and 2x4. This description doesn't have to match every layer that we have here, but it's got to be something that makes us realize what kind of wall type it is. So there's our new wall type. And then I want to edit the structure. So the existing structure we're working with, if you start from the outside and work our way in, this finish 1 is our wood shake, and it's highlighted in blue. I click on the next membrane layer. It has a 0 thickness, so it's just being represented as a single line. Substrate 2 is our sheathing on the outside. Then we have our core boundary around the structural member within the wall system, which is the 5.5-inch stud. Then we have our other core boundary, and then we have another membrane layer between the 5.5-inch stud and the gypsum wallboard, and then we have finish 2, which is the gypsum wallboard. So finish 1 takes priority over finish 2, so that's going to wrap. This is going to stop on the inside edge. And that's when finish 1 is always going to be on the outside of the house, and finish 2 will always be on the inside. Alright, so let's begin to edit this wall system so that it has the layers that we want. So first of all, I have to add the layers. So I'm going to click on the membrane layer because this structure is perfect. That should be the structure in here, and I'm going to insert a substrate layer that will be substrate. We only have one choice. We have substrate 2, and I want that to become you know what? I think I want to make that structure 1. I'm sorry. Even though we're not going to, it is sort of acting like structure, but not as much as the 2x6. It's outside of the core boundary. So our structure 1 would be the 3.5 inches. And I want to use the same softwood lumber category that I have over here. So we should find that in our list. That's already loaded in the file. Maybe under S. There it is, softwood lumber. Hit OK, so both of those are the same materials. In between the structures, we're going to have another layer. I may end up changing these a little bit, and this would become, well, let's see what happens if we change that to thermal air layer, and we change the category to rigid insulation. So I'm not seeing rigid insulation in this list, so I have to add it. If you don't already have the Autodesk library open, what we have here that we're looking at through this list are all of the materials that are loaded into this project. If I click on the library panel, it will show me the materials that are available in Autodesk for us to download or upload, if you will, into this project. I can go under insulation, find the rigid insulation, and use the add materials to document, and there it shows up in a list. So I'll hit OK. This is now rigid insulation layer, and it should have 2 inches. Alright, so let's back this up a little bit. So let's see if this matches our wall. We have gypsum wallboard, gypsum wallboard, 2x4, 2x4, rigid insulation, 2x6, 2x6, sheathing, and siding. Looks good. So I'm going to see if this will work the way I have it set up. So I'm going to hit OK. Alright, so I had a feeling I was going to have some problems. So do you see how it says error row, function 7? Priorities cannot ascend from the core boundary to the finished face. So what's happening here is we have structure 1, then a thermal layer 3, and then structure 1. So this structure 3 is the priority that layer gets, and it's a lesser priority than the 2 structure layers on either side, and that doesn't work. That can't be allowed. So I'm going to have to make this structure layer also. And then all of these will behave the same way. And there is some argument that you can make that you want all 3 of these to be inside the core boundary, but we're going to leave this the way it is right now. And we may decide to change that so that the core boundary includes this rigid insulation and softwood lumber as well. Okay, so but for now we have all the layers in place, and we got through that warning, and now we have a new wall system. And there's our new wall system. There's our double wall. So what I had you do in class is we created the wall system, did a save as, and we saved this as a project, and I had you save it in the S drive in your own folder under customization, system families, and you created your initials system families folder. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Actually, I'm just going to end up opening up this one, but that's how you're going to save this. So let me open up the one I've already got done. And this is going to then end up showing all of the different wall systems that we have and that we're going to end up creating. So I want to create a section view of this stuff so we can see all of the walls in section. Whoops, we lost one. There we go. So this one just needs to be extended a little bit further. Whoop. Okay, I think everything's in section now. So I think there's the double wall system right there that we just created. And we've got some other examples. So what the assignment is for you to create your own unique wall system. So we ended up creating an ICF here. We created the double wall system. And then I want you to create some stacked walls. And then some walls that have some sweeps. So go ahead and take a look at the next video that shows stacked wall systems and some basic concepts on sweeps.